back again with Professor Joe, and we're going to look at this next toy. We're doing the 10 most dangerous toys this Christmas. This gun, Joe, number 5, the SWAT electric machine gun, this looks very real to me, and we've had a number of situations which have not been good regarding guns that look real. Can you comment on that?
Sure. Recently there was the death of a young boy in Ohio, I believe it was, who was, and within moments of the police appearing on the scene, they thought that he had an actual weapon, and in fact it was actually a toy. This particular machine gun, first of all, again, sort of common sense if you're a parent, machine guns may be something that you don't want to buy for your kid, but that aside, the only thing that distinguishes this toy from an actual weapon is an orange, little orange segment on the muzzle.
I see that. I see that.
Now, New York's law, I practice in New York, so New York has a public safety law. New York's law says that not only do you have to have orange or yellow on the muzzle, but more than 50% of the toy has to be brightly colored in order to distinguish it from a real weapon. So I did a little bit of research because a lot of people now buy online. So now that law in New York only pertains to toys that are on the shelves in New York. So I threw into a Google search, toy guns, and I came up with a slew of ads for toys being sold for toy guns, that one of them was a sniper rifle with absolutely nothing on it to distinguish it from an actual weapon. If that is in the hands of a child, and God forbid they come across, it could be a citizen with a gun. We have plenty of guns in this society. There's a gun for every person in this country. Or it could be the police. They can mistake it for an actual weapon, and the child could wind up dead. And that did happen. And
it did happen. And that to me looks very convincing. Excuse me. Moving now to number 6, Spark, Create, Imagine wooden instruments. And again, I'm looking at something saying, boy, that looks kind of crafty and nice and something you can do on a snowy day, but apparently not, huh?
Well, no. Again, this goes back to the small parts issues and children ingesting them. So again, as a parent, you have to use common sense. If you have a child that is under a certain age, and you know that usually 3 and under, it can be 4 and even 5, that children have a tendency to put things in their mouth. So you have to make sure that whatever you purchase is not small enough for a child to be able to ingest. If it does, it causes, it can cause blockages in the gastrointestinal tract, result in surgery. It can possibly lead to death. You also don't know what the toy is made of. So the last thing you want is them ingesting something that may have some kind of a chemical, on it, or a dye. So certainly, it's ingestion is something that you really want to try to ensure that you're not purchasing something a child can swallow.
And I mean, like, who knew? And you point that out. Moving to number 7, I'll look at this and say, you speak of common sense, you speak of parental responsibility. This looks a little dangerous to me on its face.
Well, a bottle rocket party is basically fireworks for children. There are people out there who don't think that adults should have fireworks, and certainly children should not. So again, this is a complete and total common sense no-brainer. You look at this and you realize that, and again, even if you're unsure, if you have any question or doubt as a parent, my advice is don't get it. Move on to something else. But obviously, if it can be ignited, or if it requires a flame to get it going, it's not for a child. It's common sense.
Now let's get back to the warnings issue here for a second. Now, what you've explained to me, I am not the technician that you are, but I'm just sitting here thinking as a, old talk show host. You got to be pretty stupid if you want to buy this. The warnings issue. Now, can a manufacturer of bottle rockets walk into court with the warnings and say, but the warnings were in the box, Your Honor, don't blame me?
No question about it.
Dear Lord.
No question. They're going to come in not only with, were there warnings, but assumption of the risk. They're going to come in with comparative fault on behalf of the parent. They're going to say that, look, we did everything that we were supposed to. We created a product that's going to be fun for a child, but you need parental supervision. And if you, the parent, failed, don't blame us. We warned you. We told you precisely what the product was made of, what it's good, what it's used for, and that you need to be there when the product is used. If you failed to be there, you're the parent at fault. Don't blame us, the manufacturer.
This is information you guys really need to take hold of.
And it's actually a very persuasive argument. When a product gets recalled, not necessarily, but it's a very persuasive argument because more and more in the courts throughout this country, there is a much more conservative swing to juries. They are looking things with a much more critical eye. And they don't like to see people coming in and claiming that, oh, well, you harmed me. But they start to look and say, you, the parent, have an obligation here. You have a responsibility. So it's not entirely the manufacturer's fault.
Glad I asked the question, and that's the answer. Moving to number 8, now how could this thing hurt anything? Look at that cute little kid, little cutesy. And you're going to tell me this is dangerous?
Well, again, it looks like a great toy, right? It's the kind of toy that you want to buy for any child. Unfortunately, there's a bow in the hair which is easily removed and the child can ingest. So back to the
Right.
choking and ingestion hazards.
And this is something I think more and more, as more and more things get sold and they get manufactured without standards, parents need to be aware of. Moving, and it's amazing how time kind of always gets away from us here. The True Legends Orcs Battle Hammer. Now again, the right side of my brain says anything saying Battle Hammer can't be good, but you're going to tell us even more than that.
Well, I think you hit it on the head, no pun intended, because that's precisely what the battle hammer is going to be used for. A child's going to take it and they're going to beat their sibling or their friend over the head with it. It's a battle hammer. They're supposed to be mimicking a battle, and it's a hammer, and it can cause serious harm.
And this somehow gets into this country and gets sold.
Yes.
Unbelievable. To our last little furry creature here, who looks so cute, and something you would hand to a little girl as you put her, or a little boy as you put him in bed at night, the colored hedgehog. Brightly used stuffed animal, looking even friendlier than Sonic the Hedgehog. Something terribly wrong with this thing.
Yes, and this is one that's really scary, because this is the toy that, even when I look at it with a critical eye, you don't see it as being a real problem. It looks like, it doesn't seem like it's going to have any parts that are going to come off of it, when in fact it does. The hair comes off, and the hair can get caught in a child's throat if they ingest it, and the child can choke.
Unbelievable. Well, we've been through the 10 toys, but what I would like for you to comment on is, we're just about at the end of a Christmas season. Well, maybe not, because the big frenzy's probably going to start this weekend, going right up to the wire. And a parent with this knowledge, what would be your suggestion for them as far as having an intelligent approach to buying toys for children? Where should they go? What should they consider? What should they look at before they actually get in the car and turn the key and go over to the mall?
There are a handful of places that you can go to online to help you out. One is the CPSC, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, which is cpsc.org. There's an organization, and you can look at products that are being recalled there. There's an organization which is a fantastic organization called WATCH, which is World Against Toys Causing Harm, Inc. They're out of Massachusetts. They are toysafety.org. They research, actually this top 10 list came from them, but they look at a whole host of other things. You can contact them, you can discuss it with them. If you're concerned about a toy, you can reach out to them. You can also go to the CPSC if you have a toy that you feel is a potential harm. You can report it to the CPSC. New York State has the New York Public Interest Research Group. There's also the U.S. Public Interest Research Group. New York is nypirg.org. You can go to them. They list toys that they are investigating, and they also take comments from people and will investigate other toys. So as a parent, I think those are 3 sites you could start with. It'll take you a very short period of time. You can take a look to see what's dangerous that's out there and just steer clear of them.
Do you think our illustrious Congress will ever do something with respect to protecting consumers from harmful toys?
Well, they certainly have done some stuff in terms of, there's legislation that's been passed in terms of chemicals that are banned from toys and that they want to keep to a minimum. Kirsten Gillibrand, who's a senator from New York, is now spearheading legislation to improve that. And she is, if you go to her website, she actually links you to NYPIRG. And she is working diligently to try to keep chemicals out of children's toys. If you take a look at some of the toys that they actually talk about on the NYPIRG site, there's what looks like just a simple basic mat for a child to crawl on. Well, there are a very high level of, I believe it was phthalates and metallic chemicals that are in it that can actually cause very serious harm to a child.
Unbelievable. And I think, I get the impression that we're just barely scratching the surface here on all of the consumer products that each one of us uses. The car, the cell phone, the microwave oven, and I just look forward to having you back to educate us all on what we need to know that we just use so widely in the course of our days, thinking about something else. So I thank you, my friend. Thank you for coming. And this is Professor Joe Montanile. We'll be coming back very soon with a Fries My Eggs special guest, Jim Dreyer, right here on Connecticut Morning. So glad to see you here today.